Hi, my name is Lee, and today I'm going to tell you another fairy tale because fairy tales are delightful. This is a story that's originally in a Norwegian tale told by Asbjornsen, by a person whose name I cannot pronounce. Tolkien took the name Moria for the Mines of Moria from this story. But have you heard it? That is the question. Let's get to the story. The Soria Moria Castle, as told by me, read it heartily. So once upon a time, there's this couple. And of course, they have a child. And they name this child Halvor. Halvor, however, is a couch potato. He does nothing all day long. He sits in the cinders, in the ash, and just putzes. He looks at the fire and he's like, oh, fire, all day long. All the girls in town are like, why would we want to marry him? He's a putz. He doesn't do anything. He's worthless. We don't like him. He's not even that cute. Just saying, he's not. So Halvor's parents decide to send him away on a ship. Halvor joins the Navy. He does, actually. This is in the story. He goes off and he does nothing on the ship. He just sits. There's no fire. He's sad. It's sad. He doesn't do anything. The captain, the skipper, is just like, so when Halvor is like, this whole ship, sea, swab the deck, this is not my thing. He requests the captain that he leave. And the captain's like, good riddance. So the captain ditches him the first land that comes in sight. And Halvor's like, I'll walk home. So he walks and 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 he walks. And he keeps going and going and he gets really tired. There's no food. He doesn't know how to cook until he comes across his castle. Is this the Soria Moria Castle? No, it's not. But he doesn't know this, so he goes in. And he's greeted by a lovely princess. And she is a beautiful princess. I mean, she's not the fairest in the land. We'll get to her. But she's pretty. Halvor is like, hey girl. And she's like, you should probably go, because this castle is actually my prison. And I'm being held by a troll. And he ain't gonna like you here. It's gonna be all Jack and the Beanstalk. He's gonna eat you if you stay. And Halvor's like, why would I leave when I can rescue you? Yay! Finally, initiative from Halvor. And the princess is like, this troll has 3 heads, and he's gonna eat you with all 3 of them. Dude, you are toast. Halvor's like, no, girl, I got this. See, there's like a sword on the wall, and it's gigantic, and I'm gonna cut his head off. The princess is like, that might work. Well then, says the princess, you must take a drink out of that bottle, which is hanging by the door, which the troll drinks every time he lifts that sword whenever he goes out. And he feels so strong and he can lift the gigantic sword that's on the wall. And just as he's getting the sword, he thinks, this would be a great time for the troll to actually show up. And the troll shows up! The troll's like, what you doing in my house? And Halvor chops off all 3 heads, one swoop. Booyah. Drink your water, folks. And the princess is like, oh, you saved my life. I am eternally grateful. Also, could you maybe save my sisters? And then he goes to the next castle. And this is where the story gets repetitive. So Halvor goes to the next castle, also not the Soria Moria Castle, and immediately finds the second princess, who is even prettier than the first princess. Who'da thunk? Hey girl, I'm here to save you. I just saved your first sister. She's great. We're doing fine. I'm gonna save you now. She's like, that'd be great, but I'm being captive by a troll with 6 heads, and he's gonna eat you with all 6 of his heads. Halvor's like, I don't think that's gonna happen because I defeated the last troll. I can defeat this troll. He takes the water that's hanging from the wall by the door, drinks it all up, grabs the even more gigantic sword, also by the wall. And just as he's doing this, the troll with 6 heads shows up, and Halvor's like, ugh. And the troll's like, what you doing in my house? Halvor chops off all of the heads, saves the princess, and the princess is like, that's great, but I have another sister in another castle. Could you maybe save her too? And Halvor's like, yeah, sure, I got 2 down, 1 to go. It's gonna be great. Halvor goes to the 3rd castle, and this is still not the Soria Moria Castle. And there is the 3rd princess, and she is the fairest of all the land. I told you we would get to her. And of course she is. She's the youngest. She's the prettiest. That's how it happens. And she's like, you should leave because I am captive by a troll with 9 heads. Dude, that's a lot. And Halvor's like, girl, if he had 9 times 9 times 9 times 9 times heads, I'd still fight him. You really should go. You really should go. She begs him to leave. He's like, no, I'm going to stay. I'm not afraid. Are you afraid? I'm not afraid. Same song, 3rd verse. He drinks the water, grabs the sword. The troll shows up. He chops off all the heads. 1 swoop. Boom. Troll is dead. The other 2 sisters show up. The other 2 princesses, they're really pretty still. They show up and they're like, oh, you have saved our lives. We are eternally grateful. It is the best thing that has ever happened to us. I mean, what else? They have no other plotline, really. Now, the 3 sisters are like, you have saved our lives. You can pick which one of us to marry. And obviously, he chooses the youngest because she's the prettiest. They get engaged. It's lovely. They have a whole engagement party, maybe. I don't know. But Halvor suddenly gets really sad. And the princesses are like, why are you so sad? You're going to get married. It's the happiest time of your life. He's like, but I haven't seen my parents this whole time. They sent me off on a ship. They think I'm still sailing around the world having the time of my life. And they gotta know I'm engaged. So the princesses are like, okay, you can go. We love you. You can come back to us. It'll be fine. So they give him this ring. It's not a magic ring, really. It's just fancy. And it's just so he has something to remember them by. And he goes off to see his parents. And they tell him, maybe don't mention us when you go see your parents, okay? He's like, yeah, sure, you got it. It takes him a while. He goes around the world again and again and again. Gets to his parents. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. Great to see ya. Immediately goes, sits by the fire. Like he used to do. They're just like, you have not changed at all. And so they kind of like start prodding him for information. They're like, hey, what you been up to all this time? He's like, oh, stuff. Just some things. Just some life experiences. And they're like, hey, did you get married? And he's like, no. Like, hey, have you had any children? And he's like, no. His parents finally brought him out of the house. And all the neighborhood girls and the town villager ladies are just like, oh, he's still the worst. And he's like, you think you're pretty. You should see my 3 girlfriends. I mean, my 1 wife and her 2 sisters. And they're like, the what now? And he's like, yeah, I totally found 3 awesome princesses. They're prettier than you, they're smarter than you, and they like me. So he mentions the 3 princesses, and then poof, they show up. Yo, we told you not to talk about us. You promised not to say anything about us. You promised you wouldn't. The princesses replaced the ring that they gave him. They're just like, you get traitor ring now because you betrayed us. And they disappear, and Halvor instinctually knows that this is now about the Soria Moria Castle, and they are gone to there. Halvor is super sad because his engagement is off, his girlfriend is gone, her 2 sisters are also gone. I better find the Soria Moria Castle. So he goes around the world and he asks around everywhere, do you know where the Soria Moria Castle is? Do you know where the Soria Moria Castle is? Have you seen it? Do you know where it is? It's not on Google Earth. He cannot find this castle. And he wants to because his girlfriend is there. So finally, he meets an old woman and he's like, hey, do you know where the Soria Moria Castle is? And the old woman is like, well, I don't know where the Soria Moria Castle is. But the moon might. They wait for darkness. The moon shows up and the moon's like, hey, what's up? And the old woman is like, do you know where the Soria Moria Castle is? I don't know. I did, but now there's like a cloud over that whole area, so I can't see it anymore. Who might know what to do is the west wind. So they sit and they wait, and the west wind blows in a fury. In a fury. That's exactly what it says. No, it's not. And the old man's like, hey, west wind, do you know where the Soria Moria Castle is? The west wind's like, I can take you there if you can keep up. And Halvor's like, I have been sitting around my whole life for conserving my energy for a moment such as this. So the west wind drops Halvor off at the gates of the Soria Moria Castle. And he just walks right in, because he's done that with every other castle in the story. And he sees it's a wedding banquet for a new engagement because his fiancée is newly engaged. And she's not quite happy about it. She's totally been captured by another troll. Halvor's kind of in disguise. And he's like, gonna sneak up, be like, what you doing? But there's speeches going on. It's a lot. It's very busy. You've been at a wedding. Weddings are busy. Halvor just kind of steps back, and the three princesses are not quite so happy about this engagement like Halvor kind of thinks they are. They go and they say, who is more worthy of our sister's hand? The dude who saved all of us from trolls, or this dude? And all the crowd's like, I think the guy who saved you all from trolls would be a better choice, actually. And the princesses are like, yeah, we think so too. This engagement is off. And Halvor's like, yes. Did you ask for the guy who saved you from all the trolls? 'Cause I'm him. Yes, he is the right one, cried the youngest princess when she caught sight of him. So she flung the other out the window and held out her hand to Halvor. The end. People throwing ex-fiancés out windows. Giant swords. Proper hydration. But yeah, let me know what you think. Have a good rest of your afternoon. I hope you're reading good books. And I hope you're enjoying listening to these obscure fairy tales. Bye. Do not worry, this is in the story. You know in Breath of the Wild when you find the fairies and they're like, this is great, but can you go find my other sister fairies? This is exactly that. And everything from there on is the same tune. It's like that, only it's a story. I'm parched. With 9 heads. I need more fingers. What's 9? I'd fight him even if he had 9 times 9's heads. That's really hard to say. This is not Squirrel Island, so he does not get any special treatment from fairies here. None of them show up to help him. He must now find the Soria Moria Castle, 'cause this princess is in another castle.